Okay, we have the microphone. Good, beautiful. Now, beloved community, this is Katarina Satori. I'm so happy to be here with you. I am going to check my sound to make sure that the sound is working and I'm truly live on this wonderful YouTube channel. Okay. A little bit of patience. Yeah, the sound is working. It is wonderful to be here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Whoever's going to join me live or whoever's going to join me as a replay. Just wanted to share my Buddha with you, a cup of tea. And while more people join us, I recently found this beautiful new cards. One second, I'm going to close the door. So sometimes you have the sounds of life, and I had a doggy that was barking. All right, before we go into this beautiful and delicious mystical conversation on a mystical Monday, I wanted to see what message the energy field would want to offer to us. I recently discovered a new deck of cards, and they're so beautiful. They have these tigers, and each card is a prayer to the great beloved, to the divine beloved. So let's see, for the benefit of all, what would be the most important message for us today? And the message is beauty. It says, I am a spark of divinity. Take a look at this card. It is so beautiful. It has flowers and some beautiful butterflies, which is the sign of metamorphosis. And on the card, it says, change me, divine beloved, into one who knows without question my own beauty, worthiness, and desirability. Let me remember constantly who I am, love itself in a temporarily human form. Wow. This is really, really powerful. And it is from the deck that I was sharing with my Facebook community called Divine Beloved. So before I will share with you just some perspectives on the mystery, precision, and the benevolence of divine timing, which is a spiritual understanding that things happen at a perfect time. Things come into our life in the very, very perfect moments. People or places or experiences leave our lives, right? And there's a beautiful flow and the synergy. And before I go there, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Katarina Satori. I am deeply passionate about ancient wisdom, about transformation, lasting transformation of us as human beings, and also transformation collectively. So we are living at a very, very unique time where we have so much access to all kind of information. We don't really lack information, right? And what we are being invited to is to embody what we know. So a deep flowering of our wisdom can come online, and then our unique wisdom will contribute to the expansion of the wisdom of the collective soul. And that's the process of collective ascension, right? And I love bringing these contemplations and these topics not as an intellectual understanding, but truly as something that can assist us, that can give us courage, can give us patience, can give us wisdom to navigate the current times. And the last conversation I brought was all about the topic of divine will, that there is such a mystery of the will of the whole, right? And that comes online in our lives when we go through the process of awakening, and not only awakening of our third eye, but awakening of the heart, because it's through the heart we begin to hear a deeper call, a deeper a deeper way of opening ourselves to life itself. So then the conversation of divine timing was sort of a continuation of that contemplation. And when I was tuning into this topic last night, I began hearing this phrase that every single human being on the planet lives with some sort of question, something unresolved in their life. Every single person. So if you feel you are the only one who is holding some sort of inquiry, some sort of question that you don't know the answer yet, that you are being asked to be patient around this particular topic, this is a very universal experience for us human beings. There will be questions in our lives, there will be chapters. And I used to think that there will be a chapter where everything in my life will be resolved. So there is going to be no nothing unresolved, right? And what I'm realizing, every chapter presents a new layer of mystery, a new invitation to be patient about something, right? And it's beautiful because that new level of inquiry is what actually invites us on a new kind of adventure. So, whether you are holding a vision or holding a space, maybe for a dream home, right? Maybe you are really in the space of putting down the roots and creating a home that truly nourishes for you, and you being asked by your higher self to truly surrender to the divine timing, right? Maybe your inquiry is for that relationship that you're calling in, right? A true relationship. I'm gonna let my kitty out. It occurs every time I do a live stream. She wants to go outside. So we'll just flow with the field of life, right? So there is a different inquiries. Maybe you are holding that prayer for a true alchemical sacred union, right? And you have been receiving lessons that you can't just will it to happen. No matter how much you try, you can't control love. Love will come to your life. The relationship, loving relationship, comes into your life at the precise moment of your soul readiness for that curriculum. So that's the beauty of divine timing. When we realize these major alchemical experiences, they don't arrive on our clock. That's where we begin to receive these deep lessons of humility, right? And with deep lessons of, wow, there is a deeper mystery that is moving through my reality, and I can have an attitude about it, right? And can fight it. Or I can bow down and see the benevolence and beauty of that and work with the flow, right? Or maybe you're going through a health challenge, right? And your process of healing, the length of that process is completely unknown to you. And you wish you could put a time frame and you say, you know what, I'm going to go through this process of healing in 3 months. And you quickly realize, again, you can't control it. You have to allow the organic process happen on its own time. So every single human being right now has something unresolved, some kind of a question, right? And that question teaches them these three things. I put some notes to stay on track with this live stream. Sometimes it helps. And the very first jam of the process of living and learning about divine timing. And it's called the very first quality that we activate is the quality of patience. And the quality of patience is learning to live in the now, not as intellectual understanding, but truly as a daily practice, like a yoga practice or a breath practice, right? Really learning to live in the now. And what I've noticed, every time I become impatient, I leave the moment. So, impatience to me is a signal that I am already in the future, trying to bring something that I want faster, right? Or I am in the past, but I'm not here. And when I left the moment, I left the connectedness to the web of life, which is, the way I describe the web of life, it's like this invisible internet, spiritual internet that has instantaneous communication. All of our intentions are heard instantaneously. And the great universe is one giant quantum mind that has, such incredible self-organizing power that is beyond our human understanding. While we are in the human body, it's really challenging to grasp how it works. But the moment we leave the body, the moment we go through a portal of death, and we expand our consciousness and see this experience from the perspective of the soul, we have this understanding, oh, of course, that's how it works. That's how it works. So to me, it's been so inspiring and encouraging and deeply humbling, this realization that the moment I have an intention and I am clear about that intention, right? It is heard instantaneously in this universal inner net, right? And when I allow the divine timing, meaning the divine orchestration, the divine fractal, to organize all the events and the people and the synchronicities, right? That when the most aligned set of circumstances is being prepared for me to receive the depth and the richness and the highest alignment of that experience. So the patience is learning to live richly in this chapter, every chapter, like milk it, right? Even though we crave a new experience and a new evolution and a new chapter, sometimes we begin to grow discontent with the current chapter, right? That's another reason we left the moment. We became impatient. Patience is a great process of helping our soul come to its full radiance, right? And I wrote something else. One second. It is every time we step into that patient relationship with life, we go through expansion of our frequency, the power of our aura. Our energy body is so incredibly powerful. Every time we lose patience, we create a contraction in our energy, right? It literally happens like this: a contraction of our energy, contraction of our magic. So may this be a beautiful reminder for all of us. And the moment we come back to our heart and begin to trust, it's an expansion of our energy. Now, before I've been receiving these kind of lessons, let me share with you one example where I lost patience. And what I'm noticing, when I lose patience, I create unnecessary complications in the field. It's almost like I start creating my own my own complexities, So one of the examples that stands out, when I start feeling that a new home is coming my way. And I like to decode everything that is happening in my life. I like to decode it and put it in a series of steps, right, to share it with others, because there's the certain choreography of our experiences. So, about a year and a half before I moved from one house to the next, I start feeling the waves of change, the winds of change, right? You know that feeling where you can just sense it with your intuition, something new is coming. So I began to feel that with every cell of my body, and I began to hear it. The change is coming. You're going to change the location. Get ready, get prepared. And my mind, my conscious mind, got really excited about the change and tried to figure out and to anticipate the change. So my human mind started coming up with ideas. That's what the mind really good at, right? The human conscious mind is really good at assessing the past experiences and based on our past experiences coming up with a projected plan of what might happen, right? But the physical human mind does not have a capacity to tap into your future, into the true future that comes from your divine mind, right? That's why the human mind, the conscious mind, always has limitation. It can only assess the past and anticipate what has happened in the past. All your visionary thinking and a true illumination will only come from divine mind. And that is why the bridge towards divine mind is always the heart. And where can we find our heart? When we are fully present in this now moment. That is why when we become impatient, we leave the moment, right? And we're not tapping into the divine mind. So when I start sensing, oh, the relocation is happening, my human mind start offering me ideas of where it might be. So one plan was to go to one destination. And I remember I got tired of waiting. I got tired of the patience curriculum. So I just decided to go to a place where my human mind thought could be one of the places for me to build a home. So I put a plan into action. I made a travel plan. I went to a place. And when I arrived to the place, my body was giving me communication. This is not your land. This is not your land, right? So the body told me, this is not your home. Because we live in a benevolent universe will utilize every single experience to give you a lesson and opportunity, right? So every single experience can be used for your growth. So that trip, I still received new soul connections, wonderful experiences, right? It was a wonderful experience. And I really didn't need to take that trip. If only I would sink into the depth of my being and spend more time with my inner being instead of running my mind, letting my mind run the show, right? I probably would utilize that time much better. So I came back home and I spent 6 months after that experience patiently waiting for a new house to arrive. And after 6 months, I got restless and my mind won again. And my mind said, you know what? You've been waiting for 6 months. Let's take actions in our hands. Let's go to another place that could be possibly a home for you. So I took a second trip. And again, the same result. I arrived to that second destination. And from the moment I walked on the land said, this is not your land. This is not your place. You can be here as a visitor, but this is not your place. So I spent a week there and made the most out of it, right? Because I love learning new environments. It's always engaging to walk in a new place, right? So I did the best that I could with that experience. Came back home, and I remember after that trip, I had this experience of deep, deep surrender. And surrender, how I experience surrender is when you drop the trying, when you drop the helping, when you drop this restlessness, and you just say, if it happens, I will be so happy. If it doesn't happen, I will be at peace. Nothing can affect my peace. To me, this is the essence of surrender. You kind of like, you have a desire, you have a dream, and it's so important. You're like holding it and visualizing it and seeing yourself there and totally just expanding your self-worthiness. And then you still get to go through the process of surrender. You still get to open your hands and let go of the desire. So I remember I was preparing to go to my sabbatical. That was year 2001. I was preparing to go to my sabbatical, and I said, Spirit, I completely surrender. You know the place that is amazing for me. And after that surrender, things just began to open up, and synchronicity began to show me the way. And then the ride home just showed up with the most amount of ease. This is how I know when something shows up as an act of grace. It is the most amount of ease, the most amount of support, right? So other people show up in your reality and say, hey, I've heard you're moving. I can help you. So you don't have to do this alone, right? And that's how you know the right timing has arrived and you get to move swiftly. It's almost like this window opens up and this universe says, you've been waiting patiently for the last year and a half, but now you got to act swiftly, right? You got to act swiftly. This is your moment, and the help will show up. And here you go. So it is absolutely magical. And I've been in this home for the last 2 years. And every day I wake up and I say, thank you for teaching me this massive lesson on the right timing, on the right alignment, on the right land. And I couldn't move to this home sooner than the divine timing would allow me, because there were these set of circumstances. There were people living in this house, right, who had their own timing of relocating to their next destination, right? So the divine mind, which is cosmos itself, it's a sort of the highest level computer that you can imagine, biological computer, divine computer that can organize all its tiny fractals in the most divine alignment for us to have the highest level of experience, the highest alignment experience. And not only us, but everybody who is connected to us, because every time we have a shift in our life, it's not only for us alone, but for everybody we are connected to, because we're connected to everything around us. Right, beloveds? So, how do we make sure that we are connected to the most precise compass within that help us wait for that right window of opportunity? Well, that's the second point. If the first point was patience, which is the alchemical gold in aligning yourself to divine timing, always being at the right place at the right time, always being in a synchronistic flow. So the first one was patience. The second one is your intuition. Now, intuition, there are layers to it, right? The first time we discover that we can trust our intuition is listening to our gut, right? Listening to the body response that says, go here, don't go here. I like this person energy. Ooh, I don't like this person's energy. But then once we activate our intuitive intelligence, that voice of intuition becomes the voice of our soul. And when we learn to live with the will of the divine, the voice of our soul begins to get connected to the voice of the soul of the world, right? The voice of the whole. That's the true connection to the intuition. So then your guidance becomes moment by moment, literally day by day. Our only assignment is to learn to listen to that great voice. It is a great help in business. I am an entrepreneur. I run conscious business that is entirely built and led by the great intelligence of life. And I will map out things, that I desire to birth and to create in a year. And I receive instructions on a moment by moment basis. So, for example, every morning when I wake up, I listen to my intuition. What is this day for? Is this day for creation? Is this day for transmission? Is this day for holding space for others and cultivating that energy of service? What is this day for? Each day arrives pregnant with possibilities, pregnant with assignment, pregnant with beauty and magic. Today we got the card beauty, right? The spark of divinity. And what is our job as those beings who are here to be of service to our higher calling, right? Those of us who are here to cultivate and embody our higher wisdom. Our only job every single day is to open our listening channel, opening to our listening channel to the web of life that has a very particular voice, and to begin to receive the instructions on how this day can be used of the highest alignment to the will of the whole. Isn't it beautiful, beloveds? Then your life becomes sort of a dance, right? You're dancing with your intuition, you're dancing with your inspiration, you're also dancing with mundane tasks of your 3D reality, like washing dishes and folding your laundry and maybe talking to your family, right? You're dancing, you're becoming this multidimensional dancer. You're listening to the voice of nature, to the will of the whole, and you're engaging with your very ordinary tasks. And what's so beautiful about living like that, or learning to live like that, is that you becoming a very balanced spiritual being. You don't see the separation between the mundane tasks and your spiritual service. It is the same energy, right? And you sometimes will receive the highest brilliant inspiration while folding your laundry, because your mind is not focused on solving a complex solution. Your mind is just focused on being in the moment and engaging with this laundry or drinking a cup of tea. This is why whenever I read some of my most beloved mystics, beloved mystical teachers, they say, before enlightenment and after the enlightenment. Before enlightenment, we seek extraordinary peak experiences, right? Because we want to break free of the constraints of ego. We want to experience the true reality, that psychedelic magic and beauty of spiritual world. After enlightenment or realization of who we are, our life becomes more and more ordinary. And I find such gratitude for this realization, right? Because we find beauty and nourishment from very, very simple experiences, such as gardening, such as being with your children, if you have children, such as sitting outside and feeling the wind on your face. And the most ordinary experiences begin to nourish you at the deepest level. So, listening to our intuition is how we can recognize when the right door is opening for us and when the right door is not ready to open, and we're being invited to sit and to wait a little bit longer. But when we ask to be patient, it's not a passive experience. It's such an interesting experience, right? It is not a passive experience when we're being asked to wait. It means when we're being asked to wait, when something that we desire deeply, it's not the time for it to arrive to our lives. We're being asked to wait. What I understand the process looks like is take your attention off that desire completely, knowing that when you ask, it is being heard and your desire is on the way to you. So take your attention off that desire as much as you can and move as deeply as you can in your current reality, into this present moment, and become highly engaged with this now moment. Meaning, if you are holding a vision for the expansion of your business, since I have a lot of my fellow entrepreneurs, instead of only focusing, oh, I want this expansion now, I desire, I fully deserve, I am worthy, I am ready, you're still beaming a very focused intention on one desire. Now let it rest. Let it rest. Let it rest. Come back to this reality and begin to follow the joy of being right here, right now, and engage with your creativity on a new level of depth. What can you refine? What this process of waiting is giving you an opportunity to refine your craft, to refine your understanding, to refine your expression, to refine your skill. When something is not rushing to you, quite possibly is because you're being given a sacred opportunity of refinement, right? So, for example, if maybe you have been single for a while, right? You went into this deep relationship with yourself, which is a very healthy chapter. When we go through spiritual awakening, spiritual maturation, there's going to be a chapter of a solo journey. For some people, it lasts a year. For some people, it lasts 10 years. It's individual curriculum, right? But what I have noticed when we go through that chapter, it's not given to us just to numb out, to zone out, to waste that time by just living in the future into a fantasy land. One day you're going to be with your beloved and things will be radically different. That's a waste of a precious chapter. What would be more supportive for your highest potential is to take the chapter and say, I am going to become the best partner with myself. And I know, a lot of you probably know this, but it's one thing to know, it's another thing to embody and to live it well, right? So becoming your best lover, becoming your best parent, becoming your best companion. That's what the chapter of being single is for. And then when you are ready to come out of that chapter, you're going to attract practice partners, right? Quite often, you're going to attract practice partners who are going to come in and help you see, ooh, let me take a look at this level of embodiment. Let me see, am I ready for that union that I'm calling in? So this is how I see the chapters of when we're being asked to wait for something for that divine timing. It because this is a delicious chapter of helping us to refine, to grow, to develop a particular area of our life. So what was the third point? Signs and omens, of course. While you're waiting for the divine timing to arrange the perfect for you set of circumstances to meet the right people at the right time, at the right places, guided directly by your intuition, you are being given signs and omens. You get to request them, right? You get to request them. And I like to request and give full permission to my team of spirit guides. And I say, spirit guides, please just go bananas with your omens and signs for me. I love receiving guidance from you. So my spirit guides love that. And they often come in dreams. They will use the dream communication, whether it's a recurring dream with very specific emotion that tells me, hey, we know that you're becoming impatient and your patience will be rewarded. So, an example, when I was waiting for the right house to arrive, I kept having dreams. And in my dreams, I kept searching for my home. And I would be in the wrong apartment or a wrong house. And I would come in and, I wasn't ready and it wasn't totally what I was looking for. So my subconscious mind was telling me, we know you get anxious, we know you get impatient. And if you rush now, you'll get something and you're not going to be fully happy with it. So trust us and be patient, and your patience will always be rewarded, right? So it's really, really beautiful. And then another sign that I often find is numerology, right? Numbers is the language of the universe. So for me, I always look at the numbers, license plates, street numbers. You either see 777 everywhere, or 666, or 888, or 999. But the moment you consciously begin to ask, please, spirit guides, increase the number of signs and omens, not from the place that you need to rely on them, right? You're a sovereign being with very strong inner navigations system in yourself. But sometimes it's really helpful to get the confirmation, right? Sometimes it's so encouraging to get that confirmation. And I will tell you, I am leading a Peru retreat in a month and a half, literally a month and a half. I will be in Peru with a group of 15. Yeah, it's 15 of us, 15 people. And right in December or January, there have been some political changes in Peru and social unrest. And, you know, it took a lot of patience and trust on my end to not worry, not panic, but to really hold the field of trust. Trust is a field of energy that you learn to hold. It's not an intellectual decision. Oh, I'm going to trust. Trust is you choosing to cultivate an energy field around you, almost like a vibration. Every time you shift into trust, you create a resonance of trust in your field, right? And what you're doing, where you want to arrive to, where you want to aim to as a vibrational being you are, is to come into resonance with the universal field of trust. There's these levels of consciousness, right? Everything is a vibration, everything moves, nothing is static. That's a universal spiritual law number 2. Number 3, vibration. Everything is a vibration, nothing is at rest. So when we learn to trust love deeply, life deeply, what is happening is our aura has anchored a vibration of trust. So when we go anywhere, our aura goes first, right? And the more we trust life, the more life gives us reasons and confirmation that life can be trusted fully. So remember, I kept cultivating the field of trust. And there was about 2 months into that, I had a moment of doubt. I had a whole day, an afternoon of my trust becoming wobbly. And that's when I asked for a sign. I said, Spirit guides, I'm noticing my human brain starting to doubt. I need some help over here. Can you show me a clear sign? If this retreat is meant to happen, I'm going to keep carrying on. And if the retreat is not meant to happen, I got to redirect and start planning plan B or plan C, right? And then the same day, my dear friends, the same day, I receive a message from a local tour guide. Hey, Katarina, Machu Picchu is open. Things are opening up. We're moving forward. The same. day, not even the same day, like an hour after I made a request, an hour or half an hour later. This is how alive and in the moment communication with spirit happens when we begin to live as spirit and not only as humans. I love this conversation of divine timing. Not only you become um, patient as a quality of your consciousness, when we are patient, we are flexible. When we truly trust divine timing, we let go of control and we let go of rigidity. A lot of times I have noticed me in the past and quite a lot of people that I have guided in the past, they would be attached to a particular manifestation so much that they would suffocate the manifestation, right? They would squeeze it, they would hold it so tight that would squeeze all the air of that manifestation. And on a level of their higher self, they were creating that experience to help their conscious mind to realize that's what they're doing, right? We create our own obstacles on a level of higher self. This is the very, very entertaining movie. We create our own obstacles, we create our own delays, we create our own experiences that help us grow. So, patience is learning to create more spaciousness around your desires, right? The cause of suffering on this human plane is attachment to a particular outcome. The moment we become attached, we begin getting in the way. And non attachment and full engagement is the recipe, right? And you're going to have your own recipe of that based on your life experience, based on your dance with creation. What I am noticing when I can have spaciousness around this deep desire about how it's going to come to me, when, and what will happen afterwards, that I can maintain my deep love of this moment. I can cultivate the beauty of this moment, which is the card that we had today. I can dance with the beauty of this wonderful cosmos, right? Without grasping, without attachment, but with a lot more joy. And divine timing, the essence of divine timing goes like this: what is meant for you will never miss you. What is truly, truly meant for you, it will most likely arrive in a different package that you imagine. And it will definitely arrive not on your schedule. Why? Because there is a wisdom of the divine, and the divine is a holistic system. And the divine can see everything, that how every piece is being fit together. And the divine wants to bring you experiences that will bring you the highest level of joy, the highest level of fulfillment, and the highest level of growth. And when we learn to trust our intuition and learning to live in listening, we begin to realize not only the guidance arrives, but the resources arrive and the surprises arrive, and synchronicity is the way we live. And life becomes more and more a magical adventure. And when you lose your trust in divine timing, this can happen, right? You can simply ask for assistance. You can say, Spirit guides, I am wobbling and my doubt is coming over me, and I am becoming impatient. So the highest, not the highest, the beautiful realization where you see yourself in that process. Oh, I'm losing patience. I'm losing my trust. You're asking for support, and support always arrives. So the three things that we covered today: patience is living in the now. Second, intuition, learning to hear the voice of the whole. Or you can substitute that word, the voice of nature. Nature is speaking to you and me. Nature has a plan for evolution of our species. We can be really useful to nature right now by seeking to align with her plan and to be useful to her plan. I'd like to find a quote. This is one of my favorite poems. Rainer Marie Rilke. I believe he was an Austrian. Was he an Austrian poet? I believe so. He was he's one of the greatest European writers. And what I love about him, he was a mentor. He was one of the early mentors, and he mentored his students via letters. I think it's absolutely magnificent. Imagine having a relationship with a mentor via letters. And his student or somebody who wanted to tap into his wisdom would write him a letter with a question, and he would write him back with an answer. And I wanted to read you one quote that literally carried me for over 20 years of my life. And the 10 years out of the 20 years, I was asked to trust divine timing of finding my true purpose. And I did not know whether I would ever find it. And I carried quite a lot of restlessness, wanting to know why I'm on this planet right now, what's my true path, and why I am not being told all of that the moment I want to know it. Why is spirit, why is universe acts like it's deaf to my requests, right? And receiving that curriculum, like knocking on the door of the universe and receiving silence. That's when you know you're being asked to trust divine timing. When you're being told, if you know the answer right now, this knowing will distract you from the present moment. If you know the answer right now, you are going to get lost into the fantasy of this approaching dream, and you're going to lose your relationship with the now moment. If you receive this desire right now, you wouldn't be able to fully integrate the power of it, and you would start self-sabotaging yourself, right? So there's infinite reasons why universe is not bringing something to you right now, right? And we're learning to see that wisdom. Marie Rilke says, have patience. Have patience with everything that is unsolved in your heart. And try to cherish the questions themselves, like closed rooms and like books written in a very strange tongue. Do not search now for the answers which cannot be given to you because you could not live them. It's a matter of living everything. Live the questions now. Every time I hear this quote, I see myself in this beautiful antique library filled with rows and rows of books in ancient languages that I can't understand. And I'm so curious about what's in those books. I can touch them, I can hold them, but I don't have the language yet to understand what's written in the books. So I get to be patient and develop the language, right? And until I'm able to do that, I get to live everything. Like the Rilke says, the invitation is to live your questions. Live your questions. Be patient with everything that remains unsolved in your life right now. Be patient with everything that remains unsolved right now. One of the deepest gems of wisdom that life has revealed to me. It was like a download. It was a voice. It was a total download. And I received it like this. If you don't know something that you wish you know, it is because the knowing would distract you from completing something in this current chapter. You're being asked to stay patient and not get distracted by the knowing. Finish what you started, complete, live deeply this chapter, milk it, right? Because this chapter that you have right now, you will never have it again. It's going to change with the new chapter, new curriculum, new experiences, new opportunities, right? And if the knowing of that chapter would be helpful for you, the knowing spontaneously arrives. And if the knowing is concealed from you, it's because it would not be useful for you to know. Isn't this beautiful? I am so grateful for the wisdom of life, beloveds. I am so grateful for this intimate relationship with life, intimate relationship with the web of life, how we can attune. The very first step is to attune our inner antenna. And I know you probably have heard this all before. And why I'm sharing this again is for all of us to really deepen this in practice. In order for us not to get frightened by what's happening in the external world. And what is happening is two different worlds. There is a world that is based on fear, on anxiety, and doom and gloom. And there is a new world that is being born, a world that we call the new earth, a new consciousness, a new understanding, a new way of being. And moment by moment, we are being asked to choose which world we are going to support with our attention, our practices, our enrichment, our embodiment. The dying world or the world that is trying to be born right now. And you and I impact either world by what we choose to focus on, by what we choose to align. So the very first step is to choose to attune to the voice of the soul, to the voice of our intuition, and learn to hear the voice of the whole. Just imagine learning to hear the voice of entire cosmos, speaking individually to you, giving you instructions. That every day you know precisely where you are being guided to, and every day has the pregnant field of connection, possibility, silence, stillness, joy, embodiment. And whatever you don't get done at the end of the day, it wasn't meant to be done. Like, can you allow yourself that level of liberation? For all my fellow high achievers, high performers, and recovering workaholics, I know you're deeply passionate about your work and your mission and your career and your business. That sometimes, at the end of the day, you say, I wish I made more progress on that project or on that list. Give yourself grace of realization that if you live intentionally, if you practice intentionality, if you practice daily micro attunement, if you live in listening, you always get as much done as it was needed to get done on that day. And the rest you can just let go. One of my favorite practice each evening is to let the day complete, let the day die. And I remember I lived in the house. The previous house had the most magnificent ocean view and I could see the sunset every night. It was called the Sunset House. And it was one of my most nourishing practices to watch the sun go into the sea and the sun dying into the night, right? Very symbolic cycle. And then each morning the sun would rise and give a birth to the new reality. So that was my practice of each night, let the day die. What has been done, what hasn't been done, you know, allowing yourself to be complete with your experience each evening. So you wake up and you start fresh. You wake up, and the very first job when you wake up for us is to attune yourself, right? But that's another live stream. I'm going to do a whole other live stream. On this note, beloveds, do you have questions? I know some of you are here with me. You know, you can ask me in the chat if you have a question, if you desire to express something. I really enjoy this conversation on the mystery of divine timing. For me, every time I contemplate on the wisdom of divine timing, how everything that is truly meant for us has a rhythm of arrival, and every time where we are being asked to wait, it doesn't mean that we are not great manifestors. It doesn't mean that we lack self will or willpower. It doesn't mean that we're doing anything wrong. Sometimes we're simply being asked to learn the wisdom of patience and to simply learn to be deeply engaged with our life right now and to trust that the right timing will bring the right connections and the right opportunities. And what I have noticed, there is always a benefit. I would use the reward, but I like use the word benefit. There is always a benefit of trusting divine timing. I couldn't even imagine the beauty of each manifestation that came into my life when I deeply trusted it. When I deeply trusted the timing of it. It was just the perfect orchestration of everything. And then another benefit that every time you go through the cycle of trusting the divine timing, receiving it, your sense of faith in the process becomes stronger and stronger. And for all my fellow spiritual pilgrims and my spiritual warriors, this is our number one superpower, is our ability to cultivate deep faith, independent of circumstances, independent of what's happening outside of us, deep faith in our relationship with the web of life, deep faith in our ability to listen and to hear the voice of the cosmos. That is a superpower of a spiritual warrior. Without that level of faith, we are easily knocked off of our center. And that level of faith is earned through each process of trust, each process of deep surrender. On this note, beloveds, I know we went for an hour, and I hope you received confirmation, validation, encouragement to not only cherish your deepest dreams, but to know that you are guided moment by moment. And I am so excited to be back on this channel more and to bring more conversations and more transmissions. You're more than welcome to submit a question. I have a wisdom podcast that you can find on Spotify or iTunes. You can find my work on my website, katarinasatori.com. You're very welcome, Jamie. And you can also connect with me on Instagram, on Facebook, and on TikTok. I am very consistent on Instagram and Facebook. I am there pretty much on a daily basis. I will post something inspiring, encouraging, and really helpful for the community. On this note, dear ones, thank you so much for sharing this time. I will see you on the next transmission that will be dedicated to divine mystery. And until then, trust in divine timing. It will never fail you.